Hello, and welcome to Voices from the Field, a Mayford podcast where we talk with educators in the field to hear about their perspectives and experiences. My name is Jake Burson, Advocacy Chair for Mayford. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Tami Hale. Welcome, Tami.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Just a little background. Nurses play a huge role in schools, but often they work quietly behind the scenes. If you work in a K through 12 setting, you definitely have had interactions with the school nurse. School nurses are so much more than a place to go when you just have a stomachache. They're caregivers, advocates, first responders, listeners, and sometimes the one safe adult a student knows that they can turn to. As I said, in this episode, we're sitting down with Nurse Tami Hale. Tami has been a nurse since 2000. She graduated from Consigment Community College, and her first job was at St. Vincent's Hospital on a medical surgical floor. After having her second child, she decided to look for another area of nursing that would allow her to spend time with her children, and that's when she found school nursing. She started with the Worcester Nursing Department in 2006. Tami has a bachelor's in nursing and national school nurse certification, as well as a teaching licensure. She has worked at 5 elementary schools in Worcester and will be finishing out her career at her current school. Nurse Hale will shed some light on what the job really looks like, from the everyday moments to the challenges that people don't always see, and the impact this role has on students, families, and school communities as a whole. Whether you're a parent, educator, or just somebody curious about how schools support student health, this conversation is for you. Tami, let's get started. So, what made you decide to become a school nurse?
Well, I kind of touched a little bit on it in the bio about having my second son and working at St. Vincent's Hospital. And I worked second shift, and the hours were long and hard, and weekends and holidays. And there was just so much that I was missing from my family, not being there for them. And I just, I could see myself getting burnt out, even after only a few years working in the hospital. I didn't really know anything about school nursing. I just was like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. There's so many different areas you can go with a nursing degree. And a friend, another nurse that I knew, was looking at school nursing. So the two of us went and had our interview, and they were both like, you're both hired. And I was like, all right, here we go. Not knowing all of the details of what was involved in it. So really that's kind of what got me there, was my family looking for another way to use my skills and still be there for my family. And that's what school nursing has been able to give me.
So, you see many students throughout the day, obviously. What does a normal day look like for you, if normal even exists? What does your day to day look like?
Yeah, the best laid plans, they never happen. So my day typically starts at the school that I'm at currently. I have 2 diabetic students. So really my morning starts getting them prepared, getting them their breakfast, going through how many carbs in their breakfast, what are they going to eat, what does their blood sugar look like, and then administering insulin for both of those students. A lot of times that's when the students always come in and say hello in the morning, especially after the weekend. We get a quick hello, chat, and then once those kids are done, the day just starts rolling. I think I see kids right from the get-go all the way to the end. The bus is sitting outside waiting for them, and I'm still seeing students in the office. I do have my set schedule with some of my students, my daily meds that I need to see, any procedures that I need to do. So I have certain things that have to be done at a specific time throughout the day, but it's kids come in all day, all throughout the day.
So, you mentioned a couple students that had some insulin needs. Is that common for your school nurse to have special, specific needs that need to be tended to, or does it vary depending on the school, or how does that all come into play?
Well, it definitely depends on the school. It varies.
Mhm.
But I think overall, the majority of Worcester Public Schools, and I'm sure other places as well, have students that have specific needs that require a nurse. You don't usually see a school with nothing you know what I mean? That whether it's medications or procedures or anything like that, these kids with medical needs or complex needs are in the schools. And so that's one of the important things about why we're there, is because you need that nurse, that licensed person to be able to help with those kids.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Pretty typical. Yeah.
So, what are some of the most common reasons that students might come to see you?
You name it, they come to see me for it.
Hmm.
Stomach aches, headaches, injuries, but really that's it. And then there's the kids that just pop in and they'll come up with an excuse to come and see me. Oh, I have a headache. And then they'll come in and they'll start telling me about something that's totally unrelated, but it still probably leads to why they have a stomach ache.
Hmm.
It's more emotional kind of stuff that they come in for.
How does that work with so many kids wanting to see you? Because, like you mentioned, some kids might say they have a stomach ache, but maybe they ate their lunch too fast. So, how do you decipher what next steps to take?
That's where experience comes in. First of all, I would say that everything is real,
Hmm.
at least to them. Like
Right.
I try not to say you're not sick because to them it is.
Right.
So they'll
Right.
come in and say, I don't feel good. Well, let's talk about why you don't feel good. What part of your body doesn't feel good? Throughout experience, I've definitely been able to give an eyeball on a kid and know right away, this kid needs to be seen. This kid can wait 10 minutes, whatever it is. It's all about triaging. When it gets super,
Mhm.
super busy, that's what you need to do. Medications always take precedence. Diabetes always takes precedence. Head injuries will take precedence. Even while somebody's vomiting, I can manage them while I'm cleaning up somebody who maybe fell and now is bleeding because they cut their leg or something. You get good at it. You get good at it after a while. I'm a mom, so I'm used to multitasking as well. So that definitely helps out.
Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine there's a lot of multitasking, especially with the types of reasons they might see you. So, what's the hardest part of your job that people don't usually see?
Yeah, you asked when you showed me these questions. This said, "Oh, that's a tough one." I think there's a few things that people don't see that I do, and they don't understand what I do. One of the things too is we do a lot of documentation,
Mhm.
and that's a big thing that people don't know that we do. So, every single student, every interaction I have with a student or a parent or a staff member has to be documented in the student's electronic medical health record,
Mhm.
right? That's how we see what we're doing. And the state looks for specific things that we do as school nurses. So that can be very time consuming. And a lot of that is done afterwards, like not necessarily while I'm sitting with the student. Maybe I might pull up their name to remember who I saw at what time, but a lot of that is done later on when I have a moment to stop and think and really get in there and document on that kind of stuff. So people don't realize that. Before this podcast, I just kind of pulled up some numbers, and thankfully I do my documentation. So for this year alone, since August when we went back to school to now, I've already seen a total of 1,443 visitors into my office. So for injuries, illnesses, even if I'm in a meeting or phone call with parents, that's where all that information comes from, documentation. So if I didn't do that, there'd be no proof or no evidence on what I do every single day.
Right.
And some of this stuff is the state looks for that as well. They want to know how many times did you treat a student for injuries? How many times did you send a kid home or send them back to class? That's a huge thing. Like, I'm not there to send kids home. I'm there to help them to be able to be productive and stay into school. So they want to know how many times I'm sending kids home versus how many are going back to class.
So I'm thinking like when you go to the doctor, you have the my chart, right? When you can see,
Yes.
and that's something that we can see as adults, but the students obviously you need to keep a record of what's happening with them, and if their parent ever asked, or if the like you said the state ever asked, there needs to be that documentation of this is what happened, this is how it was
Yep.
handled, and kind of cross those T's.
And even like immunizations, so that's part of my responsibility too, is keeping up with children's immunizations. And so with so many students coming and going from other countries, their schedules of immunizations are not always the same as ours. So it's super important to have that documentation and be able to pull up those records. And if a student leaves, I can send that record with them. So that
Mm.
follows them. There's no duplicating of anything. They don't have to have these things done over again because we have that documentation to show it.
Hmm. So I'm going to ask you a question that's not on the podcast, but it's something that I'm just curious about. Being a PE teacher myself, we've had to do scoliosis screening. I've done it different levels at the middle school. What's happening right now currently? What are some guidelines in the state? Like what are nurses doing it? Or the doctor doing it? What's going on with the scoliosis? Is that something that teachers are
So
helping with, or does it depend on the school? So go ahead.
So it is the responsibility, from what I understand. I'm going to throw any loops in there. So
Well,
I won't
you
do
got to
that.
mix it up a little bit.
I know. The way I understand it, it is the responsibility of the phys ed teachers bar. if, say, it's you and I working together, obviously I would do the girls and you would take care of screening the boys.
Hmm.
I really, really enjoy that hands-on time with kids. And for me, I'm not just simply looking at their spine. Like I'm looking at that for sure, but I'm also looking at other things when having conversations with them and talking to them about them and their bodies and how are they feeling and do they have any concerns and oh I just noticed you have a rash on your back. So for me it's so much more than just scoliosis screening. And I really enjoy doing it. I have a great time with the kids teaching them about why I'm doing this and what does it mean and how important it is. And it's not just a task to me, it's so much more. It's an opportunity to make a connection with the kiddo and to teach them about themselves and why this is important. And I have actually found multiple kids, not a huge number, but multiple kids over my years who had scoliosis and it wasn't caught anywhere else. It is
So,
super important.
so you mentioned connection and then the why that's so important, like what the
Yeah.
rationale for it. That's really interesting.
And they're
So,
kids. I don't want them to feel like I'm just telling them you have to do this. They should know what's going on with their body. Why is this so important? And maybe they're gonna say to me, my shoulders have been really bothering me. Do you know why my shoulders are bothering me? And it's because they're carrying a backpack on one side that's, weighs 15 pounds. So
mm,
let's talk about body mechanics and how could you help that? So
mhm.
yeah, it's just a great opportunity to connect with them.
So they may bring up points to you and you're able to read between the lines and say, oh, it might be this reason or it
Yes.
might be that reason and make that.
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you work with a lot of students, but you also work with teachers and counselors and parents and administrators. How do you juggle all that or how do you manage all that? Give us some background on that.
Super important to have that connection with staff because even though I do see the kids a lot
Hmm.
and form those relationships with them, the teachers have them in the classrooms, right? They see them every single day. And so where a kiddo may come to me and, they say that they don't feel good or I have a cough and I'll take a listen to their lungs and assess them and checks their oxygen levels and listen to what the cough sounds like and go through all of that. And to me, they sound okay. Like medically, they're fine. But the teacher will come and say, well, no, 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 I feel like there's something else going on. They're never this quiet in class. So there's also that part of it. They know them too, and they know them very well. So where I may just look at that one little thing and think the kid is fine, there's the other piece of that kid's usually bouncing around in the classroom and happy and cheerful. Maybe there's something else. Maybe there's another reason why they're seeking to come to questions about what's going on in your world. Are you having trouble with friends? Are you having trouble in the class? So there's, you can't work in a silo, right? You can't work alone. You have to rely on everybody else in the building to make sure that we're hitting all those points that we're not missing the kids.
That's a great point because as teachers, we see them a lot and you see them a lot, but getting other people's perspectives about what they think and what might be leading or causing the issue or challenge, that's really important.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah. When I worked at Gates Lane, they have a lot of special ed kids there, a
mhm.
lot of nonverbal autistic kids, and that was really, really important where they can't actually physically or, they can't verbally tell me what's wrong. And I'm only seeing them for the minute that they're with me. Whereas the staff member who has been with them every single day and knows them so well can say to me, no, I really feel like there's something else going on. So you got to work with everybody. You can't do it alone.
So no, I totally agree. So our next question is, how do you support students dealing with anxiety, stress, or trauma? I walk by your office and I see the jokes you have on the wall, so I think it's a great opener. But what are some other things that you see or witness with students in regards to that anxiety?
Yeah, it's so much more nowadays than when I first started in this career. It could be two things. It could be one, I'm much more aware of things and can see things that maybe 10 years ago or 20 years ago when I first started, I didn't pick up on it like I do now. There's just a feeling you kind of get with a kiddo, it's something in their eyes, it's something in their mannerisms that you can say that there's something else going on. So, first of all, I try to make sure that they know that they can always come to my office. I mean, they don't get the reference when I say, my office is like Vegas. What happens here stays here. But that's how I feel. Like whatever you say to me in my office, unless you're going to hurt yourself or somebody's, you know what I mean? I'm not going to tell anybody. You can tell me what's going on and I can help you. And I've definitely made quite a few connections with kids in that sense where they feel comfortable coming to me and saying, can I talk to you about something? We'll shut the door and we'll sit down. unless it's an emergency, you're in my office and you're important and let's talk about what's going on. Humor, I love humor. That's
Mm.
just kind of my go-to, and the kids enjoy it and they get it and it makes them take a deep breath and relax. So they look forward to that as well. And that definitely helps get them to open up and relax and know I'm not scary and I'm not going to hurt them and they can talk to me about stuff.
And you're building that relationship with them too, so that's
Yeah.
key. So just moving on to a different track, what are some health habits you wish or kind of promote you want students to learn every day?
Yeah. Yep. So many, definitely. I think one important thing that has come up again over the last, say, 5 or 6 years is sleep.
Mm.
So many kids are not getting enough sleep. They're not getting quality sleep. It's not high on the list of priorities, whether it be because they have so many activities to do or their family life is chaotic or, they're taking care of siblings. But the foundation of your well-being, whether it be mentally or physically, revolves around having really good quality sleep. And so to teach them, you have to shut the tablets off, you have to shut the light off, you have to shut the phone off. You need to let your body rest. If you don't, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get sick more often. You're going to feel lousy. Your brain can't function well. So to teach them about how important, and some kids think it's a waste. Why am I sleeping? Who cares, right? No, it's actually really, really important. Well, a lot of the kids now don't get enough sleep. So I try to talk to them about how important that is.
That seems like such a simple thing that they can do too. It's just a matter of following through with it, right? Put the tablet down, go to bed
Yeah.
at a decent
Yeah.
hour, stay hydrated, all that stuff. So, what can parents or caregivers do at home to support what we're doing at school, what you're doing at school?
Communication, I think,
Hmm.
is big. I have a lot of parents now. I was never one to want to use my cell phone, my personal cell phone. But I've definitely changed over the years where I find being able to reach out to them or have them be able to reach out to me and send me a quick, hey, this is what's going on. Can I send them to you? I don't know what to do. Or, I can reach out to them in the middle of the day and say, hey, just want to let you know this is what's going on. I mean, we do have email at school and we do have parent square and things like that. But I find just reaching out to them, giving them a connect, that quick, and them doing the same with me. They're like, I don't know if I should send them to school. Send them to me. I'll take care of them while they're here. I'll keep an eye on them. If there's something comes up, I will call you. Always let me know what's going on because I can help with a lot of things. And that communication between parents and the nurse is huge. Really is.
Two-way communication, and that's one of our standards too, right? For DESI, having that caregiver
Yeah,
communication. So,
absolutely. Yep.
yeah, no, I agree.
Yep.
That's so important. So they know what's happening, and we can also learn from them. So this is kind of a deeper question, and obviously we're not going to use any student names, but is there a moment or a situation that reminded you of why you do this work? Can you think of any story?
Yeah, quite a few actually. And when I first started in school nursing, I thought, oh, I am going to be so bored. Like going from a med surge floor where it was like, go, 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 go. What
Mhm.
could school nursing possibly, give me? Or what can I possibly give to the students that would make a huge difference? And I never in my wildest dreams could I have ever imagined how fulfilling this job is. And there's been so many occasions where I'm like, yep, there it is. That's why I'm here. That's why I made that change, whether I knew it back then or not. This is why. Being able to, I recently taught a student how to do something, how to perform a procedure that previously they didn't even want to know anything about. Like it was scary, it was weird, it was awkward, but it's important. This is your body, this is your life. You should be able to take control of this and I can teach you how to do this. I can help you to learn how to take care of yourself so you don't have to go to anybody else. I mean, sure, we're all here if you need us, but how empowering that is for a child to be able to not have to rely on somebody all the time to do something that seems so simple.
Mm.
But you just got to get over that initial hump and that initial fear. And for me to be able to do that, I mean, I was like, oh my God, who can I tell? But I can't tell anybody because this is between this person and myself, but
Right.
oh, my heart was bursting and I was so excited for this child and to be able to help them feel successful and feel so good about themselves for
Mm.
overcoming something that they had been stuck on for so long. The kiddo there's another one where I got her glasses this kid couldn't even see her parent at pickup. Like
Mm.
the teacher had to bring the student to the parent because nobody realized until I checked her eyes that she cannot see. And then I got her on the field trip and they went to Mass Belgian Pharmacy through the Worcester Eyes program. And when she put those glasses on for the first time at school and was like looking around like, oh my God, this is what the world really looks like.
Wow.
That is why I do what I do. You know, that is why it's so important to have nurses in the building because you pick up on things and you can help with things and you can make those connections with services. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I-
What a great
yeah.
story, though. I mean, and I'm sure that happens a lot with you and the students in the situation. So that's great. Really do make a difference. So, somebody who might be interested in becoming a school nurse, what kind of words of wisdom would you say to them or advice would you give to them if they were interested in becoming a nurse?
I don't think, well, first of all, look into what it takes. Like there are, you definitely you have to have your certification, you minimum of a bachelor's. There is a lot of education. There's a lot of continuing education that you have to do. It's not a one and done. So it's
Hmm.
definitely like any other nursing job. But with school nurses, you have to have your RN licensure and keep up with that. You have to have either your national certification or you have to get your master's. I mean, there's a lot to it,
Hmm.
a lot of education that you have to make sure that you do. So it's not just get in and be done. I worked on the med surge floor, right? Had a lot of experience doing that kind of work.
Hmm.
Yes, school nursing, they're both nursing, right? But kids are not just little adults. They're very different. So
Hmm.
yes, I have a lot of the skills coming into it, but it took years to develop
Hmm.
and feel very, very confident in dealing with children versus adults, right? They're big, big difference. So really look into it and say, is this the move for me? And then go for it. I mean,
Hmm.
it's such a rewarding job. It really, really is. It's beyond what I could have imagined that it would be. So just kind of look into it. I wish I had known that there was more, not that it would have deterred me, but going into it, I wish I had learned ahead of time what it was going to take. I would have felt more prepared
Hmm.
in making those steps with my degrees and things. But
Good.
definitely go for it.
Look into it, prepare yourself, and then be prepared to have continuing education and continuing
Yes.
learning. So that's so important. So, Nurse Tammy, as we come to a close, what's one thing you wish maybe community folks would understood more about your role?
I think I struggle with this a lot. I really don't believe that the general population, the general public, or even the school population understands what school nurses really, really do. We're not just sitting there handing out Band-Aids and ice packs.
Mm.
And I tried really hard. Anybody that I talk to about my job, they're like, oh, you're a school nurse. And they try to move on. And I'm like, wait. You realize what I do every single day? I play such a huge role in the school and the health and the wellness of the kids that there's so much more to it. And I don't think people really understand. We just kind of get lost. We're like, just the school nurses, move on. So I struggle with that. That's, I think, one of the things I wish people understood and were more interested in what we do. And so things like this podcast, what a great way to get people to hear the stories and to know what I'm doing there. I laugh and joke about how I'm just sitting there looking good, but really there's so much more to it, and I wish more people understood that.
Right. No, that's great. And I thank you for being on this podcast and sharing your voice because that's the whole goal of this podcast is to share advice and expert insight into what you do. I really appreciate your time.
And thank you so much for inviting me. This was huge. This was really cool.
Oh, you're
Thank you.
welcome. I learned a lot too. And I know our listeners are going to appreciate this. Before we wrap
Yeah.
up, I want to say a huge thank you to you, Nurse Tammy. It's the important work you're doing day in and day out. Listeners, if this episode gave you a new perspective, here's your call to action. This week, reach out to a school nurse in your life, send a quick thank you, introduce yourself, or simply ask how you can support them. If you believe student health service deserves more attention and resources, share this episode with another educator or community member. Thanks for listening, and we will be back soon.